Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm going to do a handover video on this Swift Compact. It's actually a Swift Escape Compact 404 is the actual model it's on. So it's based on the Fiat Ducato on the 2019 chassis, so it's a nice modern chassis. So on the left hand side we've got all of your sort of refillable fluids. So you've got the washer fluid on the very left hand side here. Power steering fluid here in this first reservoir you can see. Engine coolant and brake fluid. Then got your engine oil through this filling point here at the front of the engine, and the engine oil dipstick, which is the red capped one at the very front. The engine battery on these cabs sits under the floor in the cab itself. So if you want to jump start the vehicle, you've got a positive terminal underneath this little cover here, and a negative terminal or an earthing point just here at the top, and it does say there only for jump start. Chassis plate is just here, weighing at 3.3, so you've got you know, way underneath the 3.5 ton limit for the C1 license. A couple of bits and pieces, information up there on the bottom of the bonnet, and Fiat 249 is the paint code, which is the white colour you've got going through all the way through. So if you ever need any touch-up paints or anything like that for the white, it's Fiat 249. All right, so on the near side, I'm going to start. So we'll go through all the way around the back on the other side, and then we'll come inside and I'll show you through the inside. So first off, inside the passenger door, there's not normally a huge amount to run through inside the passenger side. As you can imagine, most of it's over there on the driver's side. Bonnet release handle is just here inside the passenger door. You've got the jack and wheel brace kit underneath this passenger seat as well. The swivel seats work really simply. These are the original Fiat fitted ones. So you literally push that lever back, and then you can then adjust the seat. You can swivel it all the way around. You do have to move the seats forwards a little bit to get it to swivel all the way around, but that's it. Really simple, nice and easy to use. You can also adjust the height of the seat. Pulling up this one lifts the back of the seat up, and the front one lifts the front of the seat up. So if you are, you know, needing to be up a little bit higher, you can do that from there. And then obviously to put it back down again, you just sort of sit on the seat whilst pressing the button, and it'll go back down. So really nicely adjustable. But yeah, so I'll go through the rest of the stuff on the other side when we get to it in just a minute. So your diesel filling point is just here inside this color-coded or color-matched locker. You can see they've basically added an extra piece on at the factory to make it look a little bit nicer, match the van a little bit better. On the near side here, we've got the Thule Omnistore awning, all been taken out, tested, lubricated and put back, so all working really well. The windows on these, I've always really quite liked these because they're really nice and flush to the vehicle. The older versions of these did stick out quite a lot further, so you did end up getting more scratches and bits and pieces on those, but really nice sort of sleek looking windows on there. With quite a dark tint as well, so you can't really easily see through them, which is handy as well. So next locker we're going to get to is the gas locker here. So this is an LPG locker. So we've got space in this particular locker for 2 of these 6 kilo propane bottles. You can, if you really want to, you can use butane. Only real difference is that you'd have to change the pigtail hose for a butane one. Butane isn't so, you know, I wouldn't recommend it so much as propane, purely just because it doesn't really work very well when it gets really cold. Propane will work right the way down to like -40, and you haven't got to worry about that problem at all. So to turn these bottles on, I'll get the camera in there. We go anti-clockwise around to the left to turn it on, and clockwise around to the right to turn it off. So all the way down to the bottom to turn it off, all the way up to the top to turn it on. We've also got, just in case you ever needed to do this, this is the Truma crash sensor. Okay, so this little green button here. The idea behind it is that if you had left your gas on, so before you start driving you should always turn the gas off, but if you turn the gas on and you've forgotten to turn it off before you start driving and you were in a crash, the idea behind this little thing here is that it should stop the gas from pumping through into the vehicle. So sometimes you can get a little bit confused thinking that you've been in a crash even if you haven't. So if you find that you turn the gas on here and you don't get any gas coming through to the inside, all you have to do is press this little green button for 3 seconds, and that should purge the gas through the crash sensor and allow it to come through into the vehicle. Now, it does say that just here, it does show you how to do that here. You've got a slightly different version to this one. This is one that comes off on a pigtail, but this is here on the button. So that is the gas locker, nice and easy. So you've got the fridge vents just here. So it's a Dometic fridge, and you can see there Dometic fridge vents. So to take these off, all you have to do is push up on these little catches here, and then the entire thing will come off. You shouldn't really have any reason to take these off unless, you know, it comes to there being an issue with the fridge. At the moment, there's absolutely nothing wrong with anything in the vehicle, and really these are for sort of people like us when we're sort of, you know, working on them if they need servicing and things like that. But that is the fridge vents just there. Just gonna have a little look, see if there's anything underneath. Not just here, no. Okay, so I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the actual condition of the vehicle is absolutely lovely. See there the condition of the paintwork and the windows as well, all very, very good. So you've got the 2-bike rack at the back here, and the reversing camera at the top. There is also reversing sensors. You can see them there on the rear bumper. But yeah, everything I can see is in very, very lovely condition. Nothing to sort of comment on at all, really. So at the very back here, we've got a few more bits to sort of run through on this offside, really. So at the very back, we've got the boiler vent just here. So this is the vent here that says Truma on it. So this is your heating and hot water vent. So if you have this lit up on gas, or you have it on, you will find, especially when it's a little bit colder, but you will find that the condensation will build up here and drip down. Absolutely nothing to worry about. It's completely normal. It doesn't mean there's a leak or anything. It's purely just condensation because of the hot air pumping out. So don't worry about that whatsoever. You can probably just about see here where it has been dripping down in the past. So yeah, completely normal. Nothing to point out at the back. So we've got the electric hookup point here as well. So if you do have access to a hookup cable, really, really helpful to have one of those plugged in. When you're hooked up on the mains, your leisure battery is at full power and you haven't got to worry about anything to do with that. It just means that you can use everything all at once if you really want to, and you're not going to drain the battery out. You have got solar panel on the roof of this one, so if you are wild camping, it makes it a hell of a lot easier, and it means that your leisure battery is going to be having a constant trickle charge. But if, for example, you're underneath a cover like we are now, you're not going to be getting any power from that solar panel. So sometimes it's, you know, if you're parked up at home, if you're under a canopy or something at home, if you can plug a hookup cable into it every now and again, it makes a real difference. So they've got the toilet cassette locker. This is also a Thetford toilet cassette. So to take this out, lift up on the orange handle here, and the cassette will then come all the way out. You can then take it literally all the way out, and that's how you are to empty it out. So this handle here turns around towards us, and we can then take this cap off. When you're draining it out through that cap, you should be holding down this little orange button at the back, and once you've done that, a little bit of blue fluid goes back in here and push it all the way back in, and that really is it. Nice and simple. So down underneath here, looks like we've got the waste drain off point. So might be on the inside. How you drain those out? Just have a look. Yeah, looks to me like it's going to be on the inside. So I will have a little look at that in just a minute when we get in there. So the freshwater filling point. So we've got a cover to expose the actual cap. Easy as that to take it out. And then you can lock it as well if you want to, but you don't have to. But that's your freshwater filling point. Fresh water goes in there. You have also got, next door to this, you've got this little cap here. I can, well, I won't take it off, but the little cap there is basically covering up a little 12-volt socket. So if you had a 12-volt pump that you had to drop into an external tank to fill up your fresh tank, you can do that using the 12-volt power just there. Okay, so I'm just going to jump in the cab now so I can show you how lovely the cab is. So the actual vehicle itself is on a ridiculously low mileage, 11,000 miles. So you know, it's not really had a proper decent holiday just yet, so fingers crossed, you know, people will get some use out of it. So we've got the blinds at the very front just here. So you've basically got these two little finger holes which will then allow you to pull this into the middle. Once you've done that, you can pull the other one across and they'll meet in the middle with this magnetic strip. So that's how it holds itself, and then you just push it back and wait for that click there that you just heard. So really simple, but effective. You've got the reversing camera. So really simple. Again, you can just basically turn that on and off if you want to. But that's, you know, makes life a hell of a lot easier when you're parking up and things. You've got the cruise control stalk down here as an extra. So you can cancel, reset, adjust the speed, set the speed and all that sort of stuff. So cruise control is on the lower left-hand stalk. You've got your lights and indicators on the left-hand stalk at the top. Washers and wipers are on the right. You've then got your electric adjusting mirrors. So you can adjust the mirrors with this little joystick thing here. So you just choose which mirror you want to move. So main right-hand side and then bottom right-hand side. Same for the left-hand side, and then move it around as and where you need to. You've got the 6-speed manual gearbox, which is really helpful. Sometimes these 5-speeds can be a little bit kind of, you know, you'd be on the motorway and sort of wish that you've got a 6th gear. So I've always liked the 6-speed versions of these. So you've got the nice modern head unit up here as well, which, you know, again, another thing that really does help nowadays. So that's up there. Air conditioning from the little center switch just there. Hazard warning lights from the middle down there. You can lock and unlock the cab from the button next door to that. But yeah, I think that's about it really for the cab. As I say, both the front seats do swivel round. So that's it. Right, just going to lift out this just here. I'll have to do another video in just a minute. There'll just be a little short video at the very end to show you how to do the fresh and waste drain off points. I didn't do the actual habitation check on this vehicle, so I'm not quite acquainted with it. So I'll do another little video at the end just to show you the waste and fresh water drains. But for the moment, I'll just get on with the rest of the video. So that's the cab. Loads of natural light coming in through the overhead skylight. The skylight itself does open, so you can unlock it using these little clips. Make sure that when you're undoing these, you are pressing the button in. So these will open, just so that you know, they will open without you pressing the button in, but you will in turn break them. They're really fragile. So just make sure that you press the little button in and then open it like that, and then you can push it open. All right, when you've got it to where you want it, you can, easy with 2 hands, but you can tighten these up and it will stay open. So obviously they put them this way around because it's obviously right in the direction of the wind when you're driving. They put them that way around with the hinge at the front so that it doesn't blow open as you drive. Just close these over Right, so I'm going to run you through a few things before we actually get into the bulk of it. I'm going to run you through a couple of sort of things that you need to know about before we sort of get into it. So first thing I'm going to do is just point out to you, so these nice modern Swift command systems are great and really sort of effective in the way that they work, and sort of obviously they're quite smart looking, but they do have a tendency to lose calibration. So sometimes you'll turn these on and you just won't be able to get anything to work. Nothing will sort of, the click won't work. It won't register you touching the screen. All right. So all you have to do, I'm going to show you actually what you have to do. All you have to do in that situation is come back to the power supply unit back here. On the very top left-hand side, there's a little 12-volt system shutdown. All right. Press that, and that turns off absolutely everything. Everything 12 volt, everything mains, or you know, it just isolates everything. Okay, well, I think it's just 12 volt, but anyway, turn that back on, and when we come back to the control panel, you can see there it's blue and it's got a little thing flashing in the bottom corner. So this is to recalibrate the touchscreen control panel. Okay, so if we just do that really carefully, press that one, press that one, press that one, calibrated, and if we just turn it back on, so we've got all our lights have come back on now. It will then come up with this advanced settings. Just ignore that, press the home button, and then you're back. All right, everything is back together. It will now work again. So it's just something I wanted to point out. You know, I wanted to be sort of quite transparent about it. When we were doing the habitation check, it did happen to us. So I didn't want to just not point that out so that you're sort of in the dark about it if it does happen. It's all working absolutely fine now, but we did have to reset it just by doing what we did there. But the reason they put that calibration thing in there is so that you can do that. So that's how you do that. That's how you sort of recalibrate the control panel. Anyway, so on the actual control panel itself, it's actually relatively simple. You've got a few different things that we need to go through first. So you've got power. Press the power button and it comes up telling us the leisure battery voltage. So 12.5 volts in the leisure, 12.5 volts in the vehicle. And as I said, we're underneath a canopy, so we're not getting any power coming in from the solar. It also says selected battery leisure. That is where you want to leave it. If you go and select vehicle, the issue with that is that now that we've got all the lights on and we've got whatever we're going to use on the 12 volt, so we're drawing 1.1 amp at the moment. Isn't a huge amount, but vehicle batteries aren't really made for constant power like that. Plus, obviously, you got the fact that if you drain the vehicle battery down, you won't be able to start the vehicle up. So, you know, engine batteries are made for initial, you know, cranking power to start the engine up. The leisure batteries are made for sort of trickling along and keeping things going. So you want to leave that switch there on leisure. We've also then got water to the right of that. That will then bring us up these two levels. All right. Aha, I don't need to do another video. When I looked at the drains out there, the reason I was a bit sort of hesitant about it is that they don't have any drain holes or drain handles on them. So I assumed they must be on the inside, but very, very posh. Empty waste, confirm. There you go, I'll just go outside and show you this. So the waste tank must be empty, or it's got a cover on it, more likely. Oh no, it is open. So it's empty. The waste tank's empty. But yeah, so the wastewater would come out from here, fresh water from the one on the left. There you go, that is very clever. I have seen electronic drains on a few vehicles before, on a few Benemars and things, but yeah. So there you go. Fresh we got there as well. Tank heaters, level alerts, frost alerts. So don't need to do that. Okay. Right, so that's your fresh and wastewater levels from there. We've then got lighting. So turning the lights on and off like that, you can set the dimmers basically. Okay, so when I press this button just here on the left, on the right, sorry, you can see the lights kind of come on and off on a dimmer switch. All right, so these two switches down here do various lights, okay, but you've got a dimmer that you can adjust how bright the lights are. So you can adjust those from there, but basically once you come in and turn the power on, you can then go through and use your light switches where you want to. There are also a few more light switches at the back, just here. So that's your lighting one there. Awning light, that will then give power to the awning light down there underneath the awning, so that if you're outside, you know, you've got the awning open, you can have a light on to shine out onto the floor. Okay, so we've seen that we've got some fresh water in the tank, so we can turn the pump on. Once you've turned the pump on, the first thing you want to do is come over to the tap, put it through on the cold. So we've got good pressure there, that's good. And then turn it around to the hot. Got good pressure there as well. Okay, so if I just quickly explain to you why I did that. So the idea behind the heating and hot water systems in the motorhomes is this. You've got a boiler over here in the corner, which is that bit there. And essentially the way it works is you've got a 10-litre tank inside that boiler. And any water that has to go through, you know, if you want to draw some water through to the hot side of the tap here, so if we do that, what's happening is it's not coming straight from the fresh tank. So if you go to the cold, like that, the water is coming straight from that fresh tank through the pump to the tap. All right, the hot water side of it has to go through the boiler first before it can get up to the tap. So by pulling the tap like this and seeing that the water's coming through on the hot side means that the boiler is full. Once the boiler's full, and you know it's full by doing that, you can go ahead and use it exactly as you want to. You know, you haven't got to worry about it overheating or anything like that. So, you know, the reason I'm saying that is that sometimes if the boiler is completely empty, so there will be a drain for the boiler, which I can show you in just, well, I can show you there. So the little yellow handle that you see there, see it's laying down flat at the moment. If we lifted that little tab upright, so it's facing vertical, all the water, all the 10 litres of water inside the boiler would drain out onto the floor. So that's what you do if you want to winterize the vehicle. So if you want to open up the drain for the boiler and stop it from freezing up inside, you lift that up. And so that's sort of the reason why you have to check that the boiler's full. That is a manual drain off handle. So if you haven't drained it out, obviously the idea is that it should always be full. But it's always just best to check, you know, put the pump on, check the hot and the cold side, make sure there's pressure, and then you can forget about that. You can use the boiler, you know, as you want to. All right, so hopefully that made sense. Right, so we've then got the last bits that I need to sort of show you are kind of personal preference kind of thing. So you've got heating, which comes up here. It just sort of, in my opinion, it's a little bit kind of pointless in a way, because you have got the Truma boiler controller here. So, you know, this is kind of just to be used on its own anyway, but you can also see there, it comes up. So I've turned this panel on here and it's come up here at the bottom saying panel busy. So it's now just sort of doing it from here. You can adjust the air temperature from here when you're not using this one, or you can select app, which is where you can use the heating system from the app. So that's up to you how you want to do that, but it's just there if you want it. Fridge, same exact idea. You know, you can use the fridge from there if you want to, but again, the fridge itself has got perfectly good controls on the front of it, which I'll run you through in a minute. But this is all kind of, if you want to use it on the app, you know, you can do that, and you can do it from here as well. But it's all just, you know, whether or not you're sort of into all of the electronic goodies and things that you want to sort of work out how to do it all. It's all there. There is a booklet in the book pack to show you how all that works, but you know, that basically is it really. But anyway, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to show you back to here. So you've got settings as well. You can go through and connect up to Bluetooth if you've got the app. You can adjust the screen brightness, the date, the time. Night mode should change the screen a little bit. There you go. And the only other things I'm going to show you is that you've basically got vehicle voltage, leisure battery voltage. So you've got 85 and 80%. The time and the date, vehicle inside temperature 12 degrees and external temperature 9 degrees, and then your water levels, but I don't think that's actually right. 99 isn't right, is it? No. So empty the waste, just get rid of that last little bit. Okay, right, so that is how you use the control panel. Hopefully that made sense. But yeah, as I said, there is a booklet. If you want any more information on it, there is a booklet, and you can get the Sergeant Control app. Command, actually, it's called Swift Command. It says on the App Store. And the reason I said Sergeant is because the actual system itself is made by Sergeant, basically. Right. So next door to the control panel, we've got the heating and hot water dials. Okay, so this is the one that I would personally recommend using. So what we've got when you press the on screen is temperature inside the vehicle, water temperature, gas or electric, and the fan speed. Okay, so I'll obviously explain what all that means in a second, but that's what they all mean. So whichever one is flashing at you is the one that you're sort of hovering over, and if you press it, it will then come up saying what it's doing. So the internal temperature, it's not doing anything. If we scroll over and turn it up, so just 20, just for example, and press go. Just ignore what I'm doing for a second, I'll explain it in a sec. Okay, so what we've done, as I say, we're hovering over the internal temperature, click it, so it's now set to 20 degrees. Okay, so really, I mean, I know that it's, you know, you can see up there, it's 12 degrees inside the van. So really now the boiler should light up and start pumping air through to the little circular vents that you can see around the bottom of the cupboards. All right, so that's how you use the heating. Super easy. The next one over, so we're now hovering over the hot water one. Click on that, it'll also say off. We've got eco, hot, and boost. So if I just put it on hot, we've now got the van heating up and the water set to hot. So after about half an hour or so, the van will be nice and warm and we'll have hot water coming through the tap. So it really is easy as that. For setting the hot water and the heating, you just literally hover over which one you want to do. And all the time that it's doing anything, it will be showing you up here what it's doing. So we've got the heating going on and the hot water. Okay, we've then got the next one over, this one, is telling the boiler what energy to use. So at the moment, we've got it set to gas only. So I haven't got a hookup cable plugged into the vehicle, so gas is the only function I can use this on. If I did have a hookup plugged in, I could use mixture 1, mixture 2, electric 1, or electric 2. All right, so I'm gonna leave it on gas for a sec. So if I explain what that means, so gas only is obviously gas only, don't need to explain that. Mixture 1 is basically gas and a mixture of electric, so you get about 4 amps of electric going through on mix 1. Mix 2 is gas and about 8 amps of electric, which is obviously quite a lot. Electric 1 and electric 2 are the same again, but just without the gas. So you've got 4 amps of electric or 8 amps. So the way to sort of think about that is, for example, if you're on a campsite and you are plugged into a 10 amp pole, right? So you got given 10 amps to play with. If you set your heating up on electric 2, you're already drawing 8 of those 10 amps. All right, so you've basically got no leeway at all to do anything else. So that's the kind of idea behind it. If you know, in my opinion, if you are going to use it on electric, just use it on electric 1, because you're not going to be anywhere near your limit on the campsite. So the last one, the fan, click on that. We've got eco or high, and that's it. So basically that just adjusts how powerful you want the heating to pump through to the vents. And as I said, that's any of these little circle vents just here. All right, so that is that. If you want to turn the heat and the hot water system off for the hot water, off for the heating. And that's now completely off. There's nothing flashing at us above this line, so that means that nothing is on. So for the minute, I'm actually just going to turn that heating back on, just so I can get it nice and warm in here. And there you go. So that's the heating and hot water. Next door to that, we've got the carbon monoxide alarm and the smoke alarm at the top. The cupboard here to the left of that is quite important. So we've got a solar controller up here. Now this is only wired up to one of the batteries, okay? So I'm assuming that's going to be the Leisure. So if in the future you did want this wired up to the other battery as well, so wired up to the engine as well, you can have that done, because this is a duo controller. So you have got another 2 wire points for a secondary battery. Right, so you've got battery 1, battery 2, only one of these is actually wired up. So that's just something to think about for the future if you should want it. Right, you've got a couple of 240 volt sockets just inside here, which again will only work when the electric hookup is plugged in. So the fridge is probably the next thing to show you. So it's a domestic fridge, and very simply press and hold on this button just here, brings us all the lights up. So automatically it's just lit up on gas. So what it did was it remembered the last thing that it used, and it's basically just lit up and done its own thing. So the button at the top is a little bit sensitive, but the button at the top there will sort of change through the different energies. So we've got 12 volt, gas, or mains. Okay, so at the moment we can't use a 12 volt because the 12 volts for when your engine's running. We can use the gas because we've got the gas switched on, and we can't use the electric because we haven't got a hookup plugged in. So at the moment, the gas is the only way we can use this fridge. So that's why we've selected gas. We've then got the switch underneath that one, or the button underneath that one, which is your temperature setting. So you've got min and max, and you can adjust that how you need to. So if I had an electric hookup plugged in, I would be here on hookup, but it is flashing us up with a fault code here because we haven't got the mains plugged in. So I'll select gas there and it will light up. You have also got the option of auto, and that will select an energy for you automatically. So it's, you know, as you see there, it's chosen gas because it's the only way we can use it. After a couple of hours, this fridge will be cold, and if I just mention, the 12 volt is only for keeping the fridge cold whilst you drive. Okay, so that's really important. When you're driving along, you should be selected 12 volt, but it won't get your fridge cold by itself. So you have to pre-cool it on gas or electric before you switch over to 12 volt. That's the same for all fridges. It's not just this one, but I always just like to mention that. You know, some people get a bit disappointed if they select gas, if they select 12 volt and drive for 10 minutes. You know, don't expect this to be cold because it won't be. The 12 volt just keeps it cold whilst you're driving, basically. All right. So I can press and hold on this one, and it turns the fridge off. Okay, so we've got microwave at the top just here. This is a 240 volt only appliance. As you can see in the cupboard next door, it's plugged into this mains socket. We've got a 3-burner hob, oven and grill. So to use this, it's very, very simple. We've basically got a little diagram showing us which dial does which burner. So if I do this one here next to the igniter switch, That's the one in the corner. Nice and easy. So that's these three just here are the 3 burners at the top. We've then got the grill, which is push in and round to the right. Just make sure both sides of that lights up. Sometimes you need to just blow in there a little bit to get the other side lit. All right, and then push in and round to the left for the oven. And there you go. So that is the grill and the oven. So you've got some storage in the drawer underneath that. The cupboard door underneath that one is quite important. So we've got the gas isolators. So if you want to isolate the gas from any appliances, you can turn any one of those 90 degrees and it will isolate the gas from that specific place. It does tell you down here on the diagram which one does what, going by the colour. But yeah, that's what that's there for. A couple of water pipes. Not much else to mention really. Right, so we've also got obviously the bathroom in here. Should be a button. Yeah, there you go. Switch up there for the bathroom lights. The shower head comes out from the sink one and sort of goes up there. The toilet itself, very simple. Press the button just here to get the flush fluid pumping around, and then to drain into the cassette we pull this handle over to the right. You have to make sure that you pull this handle back, otherwise the cassette will be locked and you won't be able to take it out from outside. So flush fluid pumps out from there, from the blue button. Flush it into the cassette from the front. Nice and easy. Let's turn that switch off now. So at the back, obviously you've got your bed up here, which you've got a manual little button just here basically. So if you just push the button in, you will then be able to pull the bed all the way down. I've got this little section at the back here opened up because I just want to run you through a couple of things, but I'll just do that after this. So the main wardrobe at the back here, we've got your full-size table in there, some extra infill cushions up here at the top, and the original carpets as well. You've also got a TV aerial booster, which is the Vision Plus one at the back just there. So the TV aerial itself is this one here, which is a tilt and turn TV aerial. And you have to have the booster switched on if you want to use the TV sockets, which I'm assuming are going to be, yeah, up there. So if you are going to have your TV on, you know, you're probably going to have it up here, and you've got your main socket, 12-volt socket, and aerial point from there. Yep, so that's the main bits and pieces in the... Oh, also, just so you can see, these will be the covers for the side windows. So obviously you saw that you've got the main blind for the main windscreen, but these will be covers for the side windows as well. So the reason I've got this section here opened up is just so I can run you through a few things down here. So this is mainly for if you're kind of a bit more technically, you know, thinking about if you have any issues in the future. Basically, this is a bit more technical, but I'll just want to run you through it just so that you can see how it all works. So what we've got down here is what's called your PSU, or your power supply unit. Okay, so it's not as sort of technical as it sounds. It's literally just everything electronic comes to this box here and gets diverted around the vehicle as and where it needs to be. All right, so everything mains, everything 12 volt, all comes to here and all gets sent off. So if you, as I said at the very beginning, you've got the power shutdown button just here. So if you do need to recalibrate that screen, off from here and back on again. Otherwise, you've got your 12 volt fuses just here. You know, there's probably a diagram somewhere showing you what all of those do. Oh yeah, see handbook to see what they all do. You've then got your mains trip switches next door to that as well. and a couple of little buttons up here. So this one on the left isn't a button, but it will tell you if your polarity is wrong on the cable that you're plugged into. So sometimes if you're abroad, they will flash up there. It will still work, but it just means that you've not got an earth, basically. We're live in the neutral, the wrong way around kind of thing. Charger and heating and hot water. So these are basically isolators from the 240 volt charger and the mains power to your Truma iNet ready system. So if you wanted to isolate the 240 volt from the heating system and hot water system, you can do that, and no power will be sent there from the mains. Basically leave both of these as they are. You shouldn't ever really need to play with these. If you are to replace any parts, you shouldn't have a hookup plugged in anyway, so it wouldn't matter. But yeah, that's what they are there, the isolators for either of those things. You've then got the 240 volt charger. All right, so there's a three-way charger here. So basically when you plug in on the mains, this charger here gets sent some power and your leisure battery will be being charged up. Okay, the last thing I want to show you, or just to point out, is probably a little bit, you know, I probably don't need to sort of tell you this really, but the other thing that you've got on these more modern Truma boilers, so when you lift this little cover out and have a look, there's a little control panel, or sort of like a almost like a power supply unit for the boiler as well, sat on the side of it. If you get any problems with the boiler in the future, we haven't had any issues here, but if you do get any issues with it, all you have to do is, there's a 12 volt isolator or a 12 volt reset switch. So if it's flashing red at you, there's a little LED inside it. If it's flashing red, there's a little button next door to it. You just press and hold the button until it goes amber, and that then has reset the 12 volt system on the boiler. So that should then bring it back to life and basically just recalibrate it to the screen at the front. But as I say, you shouldn't ever have to do that. It's just that on the more modern ones, we have had it before. So I just like to mention it, basically. Right, put that cushion back now. Only other thing I will say is, please just mind your head if you're getting up from here. The amount of times our habitation guy smashed his head on this is unbelievable. He is quite tall, to be fair, but just please mind your head on this. Right, so I think I've covered everything. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know. But otherwise, look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.